What's up, guys? So today is the first episode of Tattoo Table Talk, where I'm going to be talking with my friends while I'm tattooing them. So on this first episode, I have my friend Devon Colebank. He is a creative force in the Pittsburgh area. I'm excited to dive into his story, how he got on this path. We're going to be working on his elbow today. It's a little bit of a sensitive spot. He should be good. I've tattooed him a few times and he'll sit like a rock. So let's get into it. Little icebreaker on Tattoo Table Talk here. DC, tell me about your first tattoo experience. What was that like?
It was horrible, man, if I'm being honest.
Dive into it. What happened? What'd you get?
A little bit of context. So I was always like this contrast between like a straight A student, a jock, and like trying to be a rebellious art kid. So I got my first tattoo when I was like 16 or 17.
Damn.
In the hood, like in the projects of Uniontown where I grew up.
He
was like, "You're Colebank's son."
So there was no sign off on that? No parental?
No, man. It was like this, I looked up like Uniontown tattooers. This dude had a page with maybe like 120 followers. You know, this like an Android type picture.
Yep.
And I was like, let me just get some small stuff, man. Like, I just want to feel something. You know, the teenage angst, like I just want to feel something.
Yeah. So what'd you get? Do you remember what your first tattoo was?
It was either the rose up here that's like scarred, like heavy-handed. Like all these, bro, were my first ones.
Oh, no way.
It was either this money one or this one, but they're scarred, bro, if you feel it.
Yeah, I can see.
My girl was like rubbing. She's like, what the fuck is that? And I was like, yeah.
That's what happens, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
So all these were like my first ones,
Okay.
These 5. I get there, he's like, are you Colebank's son? I was like, yeah. My dad was his principal.
No way.
He's like, what the hell are you doing here, man?
That's
and
so
this
funny.
is this dude. This dude's like 450 pounds, heaviest hand. Like I feel like I'm getting torn up. I don't know the difference, right?
Yeah, you don't know because this is your first tattoo.
Yeah. So he's like ripping into me. Like I feel like I'm just getting etched like a fucking marble, dude. Like he's really like getting in there.
Fuck yeah. And so
a week later, I'm like, is this supposed to heal like this? He's like, yeah, man. Just give it time. Trust the process. And it's like you see what it is, man. It's like bleeding and like.
And so for the audience out there, when you go through the dermis layer of the skin in a tattoo, that's a no-no. That's called a blowout. And over time, those tattoos will heal sometimes very raised up. And so, yeah, dude, not the best first tattoo experience, but you kept getting them, right?
Yeah, but I don't think I regret it that way, though.
It's a good story,
It goes
right?
Yeah, I have a great story about it. Like, these pieces, like with anybody that gets tattoos, that's the point, right? Is this like the story behind it?
100%. That first experience,
Yeah.
like I can look back to some of the tattoos that were my first ones that were really uncomfortable experiences.
Yeah.
But now they're like, it's hilarious. Like
Yeah.
looking back and being like, oh.
I just wish, now that I work with you and like we plan them out more, I wish I had done more of that. I knew I never want to do a sleeve, but like, me being the kid, I had so many interests at the time. I was like, let me get a bunch of small things to represent me. So like during 17 to like 19, I would get all these small pieces on my arms. And now looking back, I'm like, dude, I look like, I don't even know, like a Chipotle bag. Like I look, you know, with the artwork, like it's
but
none
you
of
know
them
what?
mesh.
That's authentic though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think there's something to be said for, although I look at the first tattoos that I got and I'm also like, yeah, I would maybe do some things differently. I don't really regret them because I got a funny story behind where I was in life.
Another funny story I have early on is like this planet one I have up here that's super random.
Yeah.
This girl was mad at me in high school because I was probably talking to another person and she found out. And I pulled up to her work and I was like, draw me something. First thing you draw, like literally a sticky note I brought. I was like, draw me something small. She's like, what's this for? What are you trying to do? Like, I was just trying to shock her. I was like, I'm gonna get this tattoo, whatever you draw. She draws the planet, I get it tattooed. It's the worst tattoo I have. Look at the scar on it.
Oh, dude.
I was just like, I'm gonna make this all better. Symbolism, depth.
I care about you so much.
I care about you so much. You mean the world to me.
Oh,
you
bro.
are my world. That's why you drew the planet.
Baby girl,
like,
you don't even know.
You don't even know.
That's funny. All right, so that good icebreaker. I think you touched on it, but tell me a little bit about where you grew up, how you came to end up in Pittsburgh. Give me a little backstory. Who is DC?
Yeah, I think a lot of people pin me as like this city kid, I think that definitely like hits the head with like the direction of all the work I do. There's definitely more modern, like people, it's the culture, right? But I grew up in the sticks, man. I grew up in a very rural area. I say Uniontown, but it's more Masontown, which is like 10, 15 minutes away from the West Virginia line.
So it's outside of Uniontown?
Yeah.
Towards West Virginia?
Yeah, small ass town. Town's full of just like old people, bingo hall, fire hall.
Let's go, baby.
Authentic and true, but like it had a lot of darkness to it, just like I feel like a lot of the Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania's we get are like dark gray days. Grew up in that area, went to high school there, and then I would always hop back and forth when I first got my license, like 16, 17, like 6'7", you know?
6'7"?
Yeah,
like 6'7".
I would come up to Pittsburgh when I was first getting into photography and shoot like shows or like sneak into like these small like it could be like rock or rap people are coming in, like Black Bear, like Mac Miller, which you like try to get in the studios. So started in the music industry, this coming up.
And that was like when you were in high school?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That was like the first steps in the door of the photography scene. And then working with these artists, they were like, "Do you do videos too?" I was like, "Yeah, I can do videos." I didn't know anything about videos. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna figure it out."
Yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. Figured it out. Did music videos for like $100 and then worked my way up in like more thoughtful pieces. And
was there ever a time that you like had to like save up a lot of money to like buy your first nice camera and stuff? Like,
so I was hustling. So during that time too, like as I was doing like more of the city stuff, back home in the rural area, people would need to like senior pictures or engagement photos. That was the moneymaker at the time. But like, I was never like a people person. It's not to sound, this sounds horrible, but it was like really inauthentic for me to be like, yeah, suppose like this.
Yeah,
and smile.
Sure.
And like, it's very like dreamy, whimsical, not authentic. Structured, yeah. So, not saying I don't like structure, just like, I don't think that was it for me. It made me a lot of money at the time. Like more than, I would say during my last year of high school, I was probably making more than a teacher at the time.
Yeah.
But then I was transitioning in the military, so that helped out, getting that little bit of money trickling in every month to like get a new camera or a lens. I had people all the time when you're young grinding, like I would do a project maybe for a gimbal or a lens or like this lighting thing.
Like a trade type thing?
Yeah, man. Like I knew I needed reps during the time, so I was like, let me charge it to the game. Like in my mindset at the time, I knew it was a marathon, not a sprint.
100%, dude. That's insightful. And and what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like a lot of people around me, I think, saw it as money. But I would do jobs for free too, man. Just not out of love. Not saying I like love the person's work, but I was like, who knows where this will be, man. The reps are like more than anything. That's what I saw it as, is just getting the, like putting shots up.
And you think that was more from a perspective of like, hey, I'm gonna do this because even though it might not be a lot of money, it will build my portfolio?
I never thought of it as portfolio. I thought of it as skill set. The more I challenge myself, the more I learn, the more somebody could hire me for. Or it puts me out there that more people could hire me for different things.
Broader range.
Yeah. So like when I was doing the music stuff, started as photography, then the music videos, and they're like, can you do cover art too? Started doing cover art. I love doing graphic design.
So that's what got you into kind of graphic design?
Yeah, so like the music scene really tailored where I am today with like being able to package a concise idea and put it out in different mediums.
So let me ask you this. So how did you go from, I know that you're a veteran, how did you go from like end of high school, more creative direction, and then pivot from that to like, okay, I'm gonna go into the Army? What was that kind of process like?
So I enlisted when I was 17. It was my junior year. That finished up, went to basic training, came back, and I was doing classes at Cal U. So high school was a little weird for me just in general. I was like the straight A kid, never really was getting close to my classmates because I was not even in class with them, like the guys I was playing football with.
Yeah.
Long story short, yeah, joined when I was 17. Throughout the years, had come back for like, hey, I know you're back for a little bit. Can I get more engagement shoots or can I fit in a music video? So that was getting steady. It was just always steady.
Okay.
I didn't know where I was taking with it. I was like, oh, this is good money when I come back. I always like the thought of having the freedom to do what I want. And I think if I was just military, I don't know who I would be if I was just military. I was always having this duality of doing something else because that made me feel not alive. That sounds like a Hallmark movie, but like, I don't like feeling like just put in that box.
Yeah, it made you feel like, I get that a lot because obviously there's a lot of structure in the military. It's a lot of like following orders, can be really good for some type of people that like routines, but also I think the creative element gave you like, okay, I have control over this. Yeah. Right? Like that's kind of where you're like, okay, this is fulfilling to me.
The military by itself was definitely a rich experience. Learned so much.
Yeah, tell me, where were you, where did you do your basic training? Where were you?
Yeah, so I did basic training at Jackson.
Okay.
And then went to Fort Sill for some job training.
Where's that?
Fort Sill's Oklahoma.
Okay.
Did deployments, Hungary. Like we have security clearance, can't really talk too much about.
Sure.
Hungary, we did some trainings over there.
Oh, no way, dude. I'm Hungarian.
Love that, dude.
Yeah, that's so
They
sick.
have horrible food.
They have horrible, don't tell me that, bro.
It would be in the summer and they'd have like pickled vegetables next to our commissary tent. Oh. And they'd like, you want to trade? And they'd have like stale bread and like pickled sausages.
Oh, no, dude. Damn, the motherland. You hate to hear it, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were in Hungary.
Some other places. I mean, I got around domestically.
Sure.
Worked with Secret Service on some domestic things in DC. Inauguration. There was riots.
No way.
A very like rich experience, man. Definitely through and through. I think other guys, they get out of the military and they make up these stories like, I was such a badass. I was a Navy SEAL, Army Ranger. Like,
yeah.
It was a rich experience. I wish, though, my only not regrets of the military is like, what if I flourished in it more? Like I did a 6-year contract, got out in 22. Like, what would it be if I did 20? Because the best experience is like in the military, this like the stories you have during like missions or weekends with the guys training. I feel like I didn't get enough of that in my system. You know, I see how, but that's like with anything in life.
Sure. Now, so you said you got out in 22 and like, was that, I've talked to other veterans, it's like, and they've expressed it's challenging kind of like transitioning from, okay, I'm doing this military thing. Obviously you were already still doing the photography and stuff on the side, but were you just like, okay, I'm going to go full scale into this photography? Yeah. Or did you think like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do?
Yeah, during those last couple of years of the Army, I was going to college. Okay. So it was like living 3 lives. So I would have military, then the college lifestyle, and then the photo business or whatever I was doing at the time, media-wise, this multimedia project.
Sure.
Transition-wise, I think the duality of everything helped the transition. And like, I would have to go for a weekend during my last years, like doing drill or something. And I'd be like, dude, I could be making money, or like I would have to like fill out pseudoforms so I could like miss a weekend of drill and go fly somewhere and shoot a project. And they're like, who the fuck do you think you are, man? Like you're 20 years old. What, like, no, you're staying here and you're fucking training, right?
Right.
The guys didn't like that. I was making great money that I didn't need the military anymore. Like, I did it just, I thought at the times, like, men should be in the military. It's honorable, it's stoic, it's the mold of a man, you know? Not saying everybody that ends up in the military is a man. There's a lot of little boys in there, but.
For sure.
The transition was easier at the time for me because I had that dual lifestyle of the business and the city life. And my unit was all the way in Carlisle, under the War College, the 101 and 108.
Were you reserves at that point?
The last, yeah.
Okay.
And the transition was easy at the time, but what sucked when I was full time is I had this standard of what people should be like, and they were so disappointing. They're always like, rather than like very direct and like. The integrity is a big thing. You probably hear me say that word so much. Is like there's no integrity in the civilian life, And like I would walk around having the standard for people, not knowing it casually that I had it, like
expectations of people.
expectations, but not even knowing that it was an expectation. But I just thought everybody was like that.
Yeah.
And they're not. And that was really disappointing at the time. I would reserve myself even more. And it put me in a dark spot for a while, just because I was like, it's sad. Like, it's just like people.
You lost a little faith in humanity.
Yeah.
I get it.
Now that you say it like that.
Well, no, that's a real thing, because like, for example, people that grow up in like maybe specifically one kind of sheltered culture or whatever, like anything outside of that, like a good example is my family, very close. We have all of our holiday functions. It's super important to see my aunts and uncles and cousins. And then I'll meet other people who like, you know, nothing wrong with this, but like I'll be like, oh, like, what are you doing for the holidays? And they're like, oh, like, I'm just gonna hang out, you know, at my house. Like, we don't really do anything.
Yeah.
And like, to me, that's like, oh, wow. Like, that's crazy that everybody doesn't do that. Doesn't like have that kind of like, you know, that familial love, you know, which is sad. But I think a little bit like that, like you had these expectations for people.
But I didn't think of it as expectations at the time. I thought of it as like lifestyle.
Reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was the past tense was like, I had regrets of being in the military, not having this like willy-nilly college party experience. Never really been to a college party, if I'm being honest. All my parties were like, I'd be behind the scenes of like shooting an artist, and we'd be at the club. Like, not these like dive bars or like these Oakland basements.
Yeah.
And in future
Even when you were in Cal?
No. I never got close with everybody because I was the high school kid sitting in the college classes.
Damn, bro. Damn.
I had that past experience, like regretting the past, looking at the past of like, oh, what could have been. Not sitting in that too much. Not like, I wouldn't say the definition of regret. But I also had this future tense. I was like, what else is there for me, man? I like what I was doing career-wise, and at that time it was turning into a career because of college, and I was like, I'm going to college for this, even though I didn't learn jack shit. I was already getting all the experience I needed. I would have professors at the time that would be a creative director listed on an advertising agency for a project, creative director, and I'd be the photographer for a project. They're like, what are you doing? You don't need this. I was like, I'm only here to make my mom happy, man. She wants to see that degree. Funny enough, honor graduate, they spelled my name wrong on the diploma. I was like, told you, Mom. Told you. They don't have, it's a business, man. Like, I told you.
So you did go the whole way through, though, and graduated. That's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah. Honor graduate, straight A, say that with my chest out.
Let's
go.
We're
balancing the military, the business at the time.
That's fucking awesome, bro. I did not know that.
And I told Mom, like, dude, they don't care, man. And it's like, I would be having galleries at the time, these huge projects, commercials, and not one feature in like a paper or honor like
at
interview.
The campus.
Yeah. But they'd honor these kids that'd be like
student spotlight.
Yeah. She adopted her first hamster. Look at she's a mother now. Like,
yeah, dude, that's funny. I get that, bro. Yeah, I think that's super interesting. Everybody's college experience is so different. Mine was cut short. I never graduated, but I also will say in one way I relate because I never really felt like a part of really that. Like I tried joining a fraternity and didn't really work. You know what I mean? Like I just never really felt like college was a shoe-in fit for me.
I think during those years when we started with the topic of high school, we're growing up, this whole time a theme for me has been identity that I didn't know of. It's very like tribal of us and humanistic of us to identify with something, resonate with something. And I've always had that problem of like, I'd feel really solid in one position, but I could also feel really solid here. I could feel really solid as a soldier, and then day turns and like I feel really solid as like a city kid, or the jock, or like so on and so forth.
Would you say you felt, because at times in my life, especially tattooing, when I'm tattooing really different people, I feel like sometimes I step back and I'm like, damn, I'm kind of a chameleon. Like,
I was just about to say that.
I can really like, I can pretty much get along with anybody, but I also like whatever I'm into at that time situationally, like I'm gonna try to adapt to it as best as I can, and it feels fairly natural. You know what I mean?
It feels natural. I see some people that it feels forced, but I think it's always felt natural without intention. Like,
Would you say a lot of that would just be like, I'm a big believer in, like you talked about reps earlier, like hard work beats talent all day, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that. Like, I was never naturally gifted mathematically or whatever, but like I would study a lot, and you know what I mean? Would you say that's kind of something that resonates with you? Like, you felt like you did well at the things that you did because you would just work harder?
In some things, definitely. Like photography, I always had the eye because I had such a structure here that I brought over to photography. It wasn't like willy-nilly.
Yep.
In terms of understanding like the light trilogy or compositionally would definitely ingrain myself. I'm a really fast learner. The things that came natural I didn't have to study for were always educational things. I didn't realize I had it, like a photographic memory, but I could look at a graph or something and remember it really well, or in school remember a page, or like auditory things I can remember what people said. My brother would be the type, he's a doctor now, would study his ass off in the night, score 99, or like a 98. I would like flip through the pages, review it, and be like, oh, I got this, score 99 on that test. He'll tell you that too. And that's not a bragging thing, it's just always been, my mom would tell you that.
I have an older brother like that as well, and I was like the opposite. I was like, I would start studying like a week before every exam because I was so anxious to fucking not get an A that was not an option. Like, I never even knew if I had that because I never risked it. I was just like so uptight about shit, you know what I mean?
I think that's why a lot of people didn't like us like me at the time, is like I would not work as hard in the books, like education-wise, like studying, reviewing, and I'd score better grades than them, and I'd be like, what the fuck? Or I'd be in these high-end classes, AP classes, and I go to football, and they're like, are you a jock, or are you like one of us, one of the nerds?
We can't tell,
Yeah.
That's funny as hell, dude. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that at all about your college experience. Let me ask you, so I guess at an earlier age you kind of figured out like you like kind of doing your own thing creatively. When did you start to transition that into approaching companies, doing branding, kind of doing the whole package deal? Because like your evolution, like I gotta just do an aside here. One reason why I really respect DC's work is I see a lot of people creatively. For me, it seems pretty obvious when people are like trying too hard, you know? And that's okay, but like a lot of what he works on, whether it's a brand launch or he's hosting an event, it's really buttoned up. The branding from, you know, the socials to the music, like everything's super buttoned up, but it still looks very authentic and like on theme.
Thank you, bro.
And I really admire that because it's hard to do. I've struggled with that one. I've tried to put on, you know, even just like events for the tattoo shop. So how did you transition from doing like, you know, any old photography job you could to like more of like, hey, I'm gonna be a creative director?
Yeah, I think it
what was that pipeline like?
I didn't realize how coded it was for me until like more recent years, maybe the last 2 years. But growing up, I had some OCD to me that put me in those gifted programs to like I skipped my 8th grade year to go to 9th grade, and then got out early, was doing the college classes. So it was like, I'm not a team project guy. I was always like reserved in myself. Let me do it myself. I'd rather do it myself. Like it urged me if I had to depend on somebody, not off knowing that person at all. Like the anxiety I would get and stress from like having to depend on them, and like it doesn't have that level of where I put it.
You'd rather just do it yourself.
Yes, and that's not against anybody. I love everybody, but I think that's the type of.
It's that OCD, bro.
Yeah,
like, I'm clinically OCD.
Yes,
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
bro, I get it.
And like people in the gifted program, I'm not sure if your school had it like that, but like we had to like go through these psych exams to like get not diagnosed with something, but you had something that was different about you that made you learn things in different levels faster.
Okay.
So I think now looking back on that throughout the years, the more I learned that I could do it all myself, the better off, because I can make it more concise. I think a lot of people, when they work in a team project, let's say it's a commercial campaign, right?
Okay.
You have the stylist, photographer, videographer, set designer, the creative director that puts it all together, the editor, lighting assistant, all that. If you have one person that knows each one of those roles and the hands for that, he understands the voice direction, the message better than everybody. It comes to, we have a target, right? I want to use my other hand to talk with my hand so bad, but
that's okay.
you have a canvas and that target is wide. The creative director's job is to make it so concise so that bullet hits the target every time.
Okay.
This bullseye every time. Now you have, if you're lighting designer and your set designer on different pages, now where you're hitting the target directly as a team is more spread out. The creative director's job is to bring it in concise. I think over the years of doing different projects, whether it be, I would just have projects where it's like, I just need a logo made. So graphic design is checking the box, right?
Sure.
So having different direct projects that build my skill set help me resonate something that was more natural and fluid now that I do things.
Okay. And like, do you think you do feel more comfortable as a creative director because, like you said, a lot of those roles where there's lighting, there's photography, you've done a lot of those things, so you're like, I feel familiar with it.
Yeah, it's all those reps.
It's not like you're just like blowing smoke. Like you're like, dude, I know how this.
So that's the difference now, is like I have the reps and the skill set that I can do all these technical things around a campaign. A lot of these creative directors are like, Pinterest mood board, this looks good.
Sure.
I like this lighting style. I like this, and like that's all good for art direction, maybe. I don't know, or like a style guide.
Sure.
But for somebody to know technically how to bring everything and compose it naturally.
Sure.
Over the years, it just formulated that way. I didn't even know what a creative director was.
This is like the perfect segue because I was gonna ask you, like, you and I have similar humor. We're boys. Like, the fact of the matter is, I've seen a lot of memes online where it's like, "What do you do?" "I'm a creative director."
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? And so like, when you explain it to somebody who's just like, "What the fuck does that mean?" Like, what is a day for you in the role of creative director for, say, you know, the restaurant group? Like, what does that look like? Like, what is a real creative director versus like air quotes? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
like, dumb it down.
If we cut off the first word, which is the adjective of describing director, being creative, cut that off. You're a director. What does a director do? You have to delegate things for different roles and different tasks and projects that are happening at the time.
Sure.
On my end, if you to delegate somebody, you have to understand what they're doing. You have to have done that before. Yeah, if they're just doing the graphic design or like the video editing, you have to understand. You can't just be like, I think the shading of this is off. You have to technically describe it to them and what they're doing in their program,
so they can understand how to change it.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Now, I think where the difference between the meme creative directors don't align is they don't know how to technically do it, or they describe it as a feeling, as just a feeling or a style guide, because they can't directly translate in the real world what that means.
Okay.
We're doing this text because it fits the brand on its more casual tone and the voice messages that we're trying to get across.
Okay.
On the spectrum, like a brand should always have the spectrum of where it lays with like serious, casual, or I'm not sure how.
I think I've seen you make like a guide for this before in some of your content. Like, it's basically like, who are you marketing to?
Yes.
Is this like, is it an upscale thing?
Yeah.
Are you a serious brand? Like, do you want to be like luxury? Do you want to be goofy?
Yeah.
There's not a right or wrong. It's just you got to pick it. I've seen you say this, like, you got to pick a lane and kind of stick to it, right?
I think a lot of these makeshift directors think it might just look cool, but they're also like copycatting a lot, which is always great. Some of the best work comes from like copying others, but I think it's copying something of that and bringing it into a project rather than the whole thing.
Sure.
You're gonna stress yourself out if you have a blank canvas as a creative director and you lay a stencil on and you have to fucking line up everything because that's what you liked about the project, rather than different technical formats and then you can paint it the way you want it. That's why creative directors get so like stressed out. This is all metaphor when like painting the canvas, because it needs to be just like this or just like that, or throw it out the window.
Right. Give it up.
Rather than knowing how to change it, like, and move the pieces omnisciently.
Well, yeah. So why don't you talk about that a little bit? Because like, as somebody else with OCD, I am very much like, I'm also the type of person, like if I'm working on a painting and I fuck it up, I'm not gonna be like, well, how can I fix it? I'm just gonna rip it apart. You know what I mean? But I can't do that with a tattoo. So sometimes, like, there are times in a tattoo where I go in a direction where I'm like, okay, I need to pivot. How do you do that to salvage a project because you still have a deadline? Like, you know.
Luckily, I think that's where, as much as our mediums are similar, creative mediums can be similar. With digital editing, there's so much digitally that you could do to repair, recompose a project.
Yeah.
Whether if you forgot to capture the groomsmen's shoes in a wedding video, stock video, you know, or okay. we don't have as much long footage. Okay, how can we compose this together in a snippet, rewind it so it's still recapping it in a different way?
Okay.
There's a lot of patchwork that you could do digitally that you can't do with like direct. Visual artist, like you're a visual artist, right? Digitally, there's a lot technically.
Yeah, that you can do.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to ask you is like, whenever I first became familiar with you, you were doing a lot of like your color shows, right? And then you would have like some pretty like crazy sponsors, like you'd have like Red Bull or Maker's Mark or like these really impressive brands sponsor that. How did you go from going and doing your own shows and then transition into like a role with like the food world with like Richard Deschamps? Like how did you, how did that line up?
Just like anything, it wasn't overnight. I got fatigued by the music industry because it's a very, you know, I was explaining before, like engagement, seeing your pictures is very like a personable thing. You're shooting somebody and it's very like, there's divas in the music industry, for lack of better words.
Sure, yeah.
You have to deal with people rather than, I naturally fell in a position with a winery that is a business now. Okay, now we're getting a little bit more commercial. I came on board with them and I did their website. I had to translate everything, all these wine notes in like Mandarin.
Damn.
It all started with this winery, for lack of better words, but for the website, they're like, okay, we have no photos. Okay, now I'm doing the photos. Oh, we need a hero video at the start. Okay. Well, we don't even have a fucking logo or color palette. Oh, I mean, I got you. We're gonna make it happen.
So that was like top down. It was like your first.
That was my first. It was
creative director encompassing.
Yeah, and I didn't know it was at the time because I was just doing different things for the project.
Okay.
But looking back, it was definitely something creative directed. You know, when I say the creative director, there's so many hats that fall underneath that. You know, if you're a creative director and you only wear 2 to 3 hats, you're not, man. You're just giving yourself that because
it sounds cool.
Yeah, you want to get somebody who's rock hard or something. I don't know. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
So you went from working with this winery.
Yeah.
And on the side, you were still running your own projects. Like you were doing the colors show. Which
I was doing a lot of portraits at the time, which I like artistically to get out of my system.
Okay.
That's where I would have fun. I think that's translated from the music side to this portraits. I forgot that part. And like looking back, it's like, it's weird as you're into it, you're not trying to keep tabs of like,
yeah.
It's like if you're recalling wars, like, oh, I forgot that we had to trek 12 miles to get to this next spot.
Yeah.
Stylistically, I was getting into a lot of creative portraiture. I don't know. Bianca was a huge part of that too, so I don't even know what we called it at the time because we were just having it's portraits, but we'd have different style shoots or themes.
Sure.
I think that translated from the music side, where I was doing that for like cover art or something.
Okay. That makes sense.
So I was doing the creative portraiture at the time of running working with businesses. It started with the winery. Worked with them for a while. That's when the first colors happened of putting all those portraits together in a gallery, and I didn't know how to say it, so I was like, let me call it colors and like different spectrums of each shoot. That's the medium and how we can control this project as an umbrella.
That's cool. I didn't know how. I was gonna ask you how you came up with
it. Yeah.
Because I think like everyone in the Pittsburgh creative scene, like whenever I first moved here and I started dating Bianca, like she was like, oh, we're gonna go to like my friend like DC's thing. called Colors. I was like, what is this? And I was like, it was down in the terminal. It was so dope, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, oh, this is like really cool. Like,
yeah. So before that, it was the years where Pantone was getting some hype. It was definitely off the coattail of that helped me like create the umbrella that all falls under, because I was doing so many different things at the time. I have some commercial like garment shoots in there mixed with this like direct portraiture style, like different makeup, funky makeup. So I was like, I need some way to bring it all in, because all this work is great and I'm not showing all of it. So I was like, I need to spray it out some way.
Sure.
I had a project in Colorado with a buddy who was doing like dirt bike stuff, like these dirt tracks. And we met I had a camera at a 7200, which was not like a portrait lens, like it's for sports stuff. Dylan knows, he's shaking his head behind the camera. And he's like, oh, what else photos do you do? I was like, dude, I'm from Pittsburgh, like do so much stuff. And I show him, and he gets to follow my page. And he's like, oh, I work with Red Bull.
Oh, no way.
Well, I met my Red Bull guy in Colorado.
That's so crazy.
It wasn't a local person. No.
I thought like maybe you were just like, hey, like I'm a creative from Pittsburgh, like will you sponsor, like I don't know, I didn't know if you were cold emailing.
I never pitched to anybody.
That's fucking so sick actually, dude. Yeah.
In recent years, like you get to pitching some bigger stuff.
Yeah, because you've established yourself at this point, yeah.
But that time I didn't. And because it was called Colors, I was like, it was a couple of weeks later, and you know, you're young like that, you get to, how can I take this idea and like make it crazy, you know? I was dude, like there's all these different flavors, cans, like the colors, it matters. So if you
you run wild with it.
And he was like, dude, that's kind of sick.
Yeah.
And it's like, it gets us out of that medium. And I think Red Bull's strategy at the time was trying to get into more of the artistic scene, with like Art Basel and stuff, like how like sponsorship, not directly like power sports or
not
like
just like crazy adrenaline junkies. They were trying to get into that scene a little bit.
Yeah, they're trying to get like that medium of nightlife art.
Yeah. Like an art gallery. I always think of like the first time I went to your show, I thought it was so cool because like I don't drink and stuff, but like I'm around that all the time. It's sick. And I thought it was like cool because I could roll up, I could get a Red Bull. My girl could get, you know, a cocktail mixed with a Red Bull. And it was just like, it was kind of like bringing that shit you'd see in the movies. Like, oh, this is an art gallery in New York, in Brooklyn. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this is like in Pittsburgh. This is fucking cool. Like people are mingling, there's good music. Like, I really like that. So how did you, I guess, go from that and then, you know, you're still kind of running those events periodically as the years go on with Colors, but also transition into like, hey, I am creative director for this like powerful restaurant group.
Restaurant stuff.
Because that's such a, to me, like such a different direction, you know?
So it wasn't overnight, like, I don't want to tell the full story and like it sounds like a monologue, but the gallery definitely had a hand in that, like working with the winery and then into the gallery with Red Bull. When the one you're talking about is Colors 2.0. It's like taking the main gallery. How do we take this up a notch? Now that let's use all the skills I know into one. Okay. Into event design, the cocktail design at the time. Now that like I'm designing cocktails, which I just thought were cool and themed, I'm like, oh wait, there's some hospitality notes to this.
Oh yeah.
As I started working and doing more events to get sponsors, I was like, let me do this whole campaign for you where we're putting your product in a stylized way. Like, they're checking the box of like marketing in their region area. So now I'm doing regional campaigns that are capped off with a event at the end where we're actually seeing, in the industry, we call it cans and hands.
Okay.
Whether not just Red Bull, but like I've done stuff with Blue Moon, Coors, Maker's Mark. So even can in hand for Maker's Mark could just be a glass of whiskey. Okay. So not just the bottle every time, you know. That's great, but like how often are you really holding the bottle besides just pouring it? They want to see like the lifestyle of it.
Sure.
Throughout doing all those events of like bringing together all the different skills into this medium, I was like, this stylistically, Pittsburgh needs culture like this. And to get those sponsors, I was like, let's get them involved and center it around the product. Because that's what they needed to begin with. They're like, hey, we need this highlighted, product-wise.
Product-wise.
So if it was...
So you mean like Maker's Mark would be like, hey, we want this new...
It would be like Beam Centauri would be like, our vodka sales are down for Haku. let's get that featured more than. So very product focused. I was like, okay, we'll do this, use it clever in the campaign through ads like this.
And you would launch an event around that product for them, essentially.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of people thought it was just the events, but really like half the time it was hired to put on a regional campaign. And then I got to get some money at the end by capping it off by this event.
Oh yeah, that's so sick. And honestly, to everybody else, it just looks like, hey, he's throwing a cool party.
Yeah.
And he's got these great sponsors.
I never meant to be a nightlife guy. That was never intent. If you know me, which I feel like you do, it's like I'm not like a party guy.
Yeah, I know. That's what's funny.
Because once you get in that, people are like, how do I skip the line? Like we were talking about Sea Monkey last night.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, that's not me, dude. That's inauthentic. I just love seeing it all come together, the moving parts. What happened after all these events, though, to get to your, to get off the tangent, was I had one of my final events. I think it was singles only in February. Mm-hmm. I had met guys throughout the years that were in LA and Zona that would come to the event, sponsor, like some good, like just one-on-one guys. I met these guys throughout the years that would come support the events. Like I had done cover art for one of the artists that he was managing.
Okay.
They just seemed like a rare find in the city. You know, it's hard to find people that are like, have fucking integrity, like crush any project they're doing, but like a man's man. Mm-hmm. Especially in my field, like there's not a lot of creative guys that are like also equally as like the mold of a man, you know, can go fucking shoot guns, and it's not about like popping bottles and like looking
rich.
You're not looking rich, being rich in your heart, you know, like working out, hitting a day, like the David Goggins. Met these guys. I was like, I capped off Pittsburgh. They're like, we're going to start this thing in Zona. You should move out here and let's just run it up with us.
I was going to ask you about this because I knew that you had moved briefly.
Yeah, I moved to Zona because I thought I hit the Stanley in Pittsburgh.
So you were in Scottsdale?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me about that experience.
It took some months before I like moved out there because we were like, what does this look like, man? Like, it's new for them. It's new for me because they're around the same age as me. And he came into some money with some investors and stuff. We're like, Web3 was big at the time. And I was like, I'm always for the new wave, dude. Like at the time with the events, it was becoming bread and butter. I was like, I need to elevate this in some way and challenge myself. Or is this going to get repetitive for me? Like the events for a while, like I was getting a distaste for them because that nightlife scene, they wake up the next day and they're like, what's next? What's new and popular? I would put my heart and soul in these projects, and then like people would wake up the next day and be like, oh yeah.
And then it felt like rinse and repeat for you.
Rinse and repeat, not too much soul into it. So it was like, new challenge, I guess.
So was your thought like, hey, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna translate this to Scottsdale, where it's maybe a different market?
Not at all.
More poppin', or you were just doing some
It was completely different.
Shit?
So it was 2022, just got out of the military. I told the guys like, I can't move until like I'm officially out of the military. They're like, this Web3's going off. We want to get in front of venture capitalists for this app idea.
What is Web3?
Web3 is the different level of internet. So like Web2 is like AOL, Facebook, this very surface level, and making structure around that. Web3 is breaking that barrier with crypto, and now it's a world inside of a world.
Okay,
I guess you could say, with like banking.
I got it. Like no centralized, like centrally regulated like currency. Yeah, like
you're creating like a video game that's actually like a reality at that point. Okay. Because it's make-believe from the ground up. At the time, we had this app idea that we were gonna create a product for businesses that was gonna be like a Google workspace, but your character was playing in this platform. Like if you had a Google Teams meeting, you would go to the amphitheater, everybody across the company would sit in the amphitheater, and you would be your person at the time, your character. But as that presentation was being displayed, people would be able to react to it. And we had some back end to it. As like during somebody's speech, say you're the CEO of a company is giving a speech about Q3, we could see when people would react or get like engagement would come up. We'd have different areas where the more you stayed on and interacted with the app, the more you would be rewarded. So it kind of influenced people to work harder in their space.
And it also gave like some live feedback of like, if they were, say there was a presentation and these are random people looking like, oh wow, that's really interesting. That's some like real life feedback data of like, oh, that's an exciting concept, or that's maybe not as exciting, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
There's a lot of other features where it was called Atrium. So that's what the app was called.
Atrium?
Yeah. We were using a lot of like pixel art and a lot of references to actually like having businesses being brought in.
Sure.
And they're able to buy ad space within that world. And there were so many avenues in it. Anyways, throughout that time, move out there as CMO.
So you moved out, what was that, 2022?
2022, yeah. So I got out of military March 2022.
Okay.
Move out to Arizona. Oh, to structure and finance this Web3 idea to keep us like alive, we started a manufacturer company doing shirts, hats, embroidery, all that.
Was that when you started your clothing brand?
That was a little bit.
Endangered Youth?
That was before. That was way before.
Okay,
yeah.
so this has nothing to do with
Endangered Youth, the pop-up was actually like my first event.
No way.
Yeah, that was like 2019.
So you guys started, you were like, all right, we're going to fund this with doing some direct to garment.
Yeah, so they had bought a warehouse that was doing the marketing. I was being the CMO of that company in Arizona. So we were doing a bunch of groundwork for getting that company up and running. Bought this warehouse, built the backspace, getting equipment, designing the floor plan.
That must have been exciting though, because you were like in a new place. You had a group of guys, all kind of centrally like focused on the same goal. Like that startup culture, I have some background with that from before tattooing, and that's like an exciting time when you're just, it's something like is a baby and everything feels like super overwhelming, but it's also, I tell people that's like the most exciting time.
Yeah. There's so much momentum behind it, and like being a young man, I was like, this is what I'm here for. Man. You just gotta like throw yourself in different areas and stuff.
So, okay, and so then what ended up happening with that?
Still traveling a lot, went to Portugal to an event out there, shook hands with like venture capitalists, other people in the network of the coin they were working with, of Near.
Okay.
Near is the coin that was the blockchain that we're basing the project on.
Wow, okay, cool.
Come back, everything's good, like feel on top of the world. Like this is like really close to popping off.
Sure.
The American manufacturer spot, when I was working with my right-hand man that hired me on, his name was, well, let's say his name was Derek. His name was not Derek.
His name was, I get it,
yeah. Back home, I had this is where I got out of the military, man. We talked about the transition. It's like I had the standard for people of how they should be. Like, we're waking up at this time, we're doing this project done. Like, he hired me on to be what I thought at the time was a leader, man. Like, because he wasn't telling me what to do. He was having me lead in what direction we were doing and operationally doing. So, I guess guys behind the scenes were like butting heads and telling him like, dude, man, he's too hard. Like, he's being an asshole, dude. Like, he's being a dick. And I'm just like, let's knock this out of the park, boys. Like, this is time to become a man. Like, stop playing 2K, get off your fucking ass. We're not smoking weed anywhere. Let's get to it. And they didn't like it, man.
They weren't really about it. They weren't
No. Like, when I would keep myself in the room while they were playing 2K, man, they would be like, oh, he's sensitive and stuff. I'm like, I have no business in that, man. Like, my dick doesn't get hard for 2K, man.
I know, bro. Well, it's actually funny because we've talked about this before. Like, no hate to gamers, but also a little bit of shade, because the reality is at some point, like, I talk to people about this all the time. Like, if you are blowing off your spouse because you're gaming with the boys every night, like, it's time to fucking throw the console out, dude. Like, there's priorities, right?
My spouse and my identity at the time was just work, dude.
Yeah, you just wanted to grind out this new project.
Yeah.
Man.
I didn't really have other hobbies too, if I'm being honest. I mean, I got into a little bit of jiu-jitsu out there, so that was fun. I was just building more of like, as you become adult, you just pick up different hobbies, I guess, interests.
Sure.
Anyways, come back around Thanksgiving, get my car finally. I moved everything out there, my whole life out there in a storage container. Not Thanksgiving, around October, before my birthday, get my car, drive it all the way to Arizona.
How far is that? Like 20 hours?
I think it was like 26, maybe 28.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Halfway through, I think it was Albuquerque, I got my AMG badge like stripped off my car.
Damn.
Crazy. I come back, it's my birthday weekend. Like, guys, we have reservations here for the birthday dinner, yada yada. Like, these are like, we had a group of like 3-4 guys, right? My right hand man, and then his 2 guys that he knew like from maybe like high school. And you know how that goes, man. He was already tight with them. Like, I'm coming off the block like black sheep, so.
Sure. But you felt like you trusted him.
Yeah.
Because you said like you had these expectations.
Saturday we had my birthday dinner, right? They're a little late. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Getting weird vibes, right? One of my right hand men at the time drove all the way up to Arizona with me because we were starting a juice brand together. Shout out to James. And he's like, man, I'm just not getting a good vibe. Like, I see you busting their ass. We had our launch party that Friday. I came in for the manufacturing. Like, we had a bunch of like clothing brands come in. I'm just talking all over the place.
No, but
my birthday's that Monday. I'm in charge of the Google space, right? Of like letting people in and having like Mark at atrium.com or Mark at lostboys.com. That was the name of the brand, Lost Boys.
Sure.
I'm out of it. I want to work on my birthday. I'm gonna work in the morning. Maybe I get off at 2 and we're locked out of it. I go to our warehouse because I finally have my car. Nobody's there. It's maybe like, I don't know, like 9:30. Everybody's usually there at 9. I'm like, God, I'm texting him, what's going on?
It's feeling like a fever dream. You're like, what the fuck's going on?
I started to head back on the strip of Scottsdale. I see them coming this way. Fucking whip it, U-turn, park. And I was like, yo, what's going on, guys? Sorry, you guys sleep in, have like a Sunday or something? He was like, no, we need to talk, man. And they don't even talk, like walking in the door, we get inside, they're like, dude, it's just not working. And I was like, I had just driven my car there the whole time.
Like that last weekend?
Yeah. And I got,
what do they mean?
Parted ways.
Are they shutting their shit down?
No,
They're
like,
just like, you're not working with us, basically.
Yeah.
Damn, bro,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So like, that's why I got this tattoo, is like the snakes, dude. Like, why my birthday dinner? Yeah, key, like.
Yeah.
Snakes, dude. And all it was, and I had a conversation with one of the guys that was kind of leading the American manufacturer like design side and the like, apparel, like how screen printing worked and like the science of that.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I love you outside of here, but like when we're at work, man, you're kind of like an asshole. And I am, man. Like, I don't like, maybe I'm not, I don't, when you say somebody's not a team player, it's because they're not holding up their end. Me being a team player is like, I'm probably this holding up, you don't like I'm holding up more of the boat than you are. I'm holding up the boat higher than my head, and you're not even giving the effort, man.
Sure.
That's what I felt like. So there was some distaste there, and like, I didn't really, trust was fucked up a lot after that. I think like, as a man, you need a chapter like that.
Sure. Kind of segues into like one of the questions that I wanted to ask you. Like, was there a specific, I don't know, failure, setback that really changed the way that you looked at that journey of being a creative director? Would this be like a good example of like that time?
I mean, I hit rock bottom because I moved my whole life out there, and I was like, oh, what's next? Like, I never had a real job after that. I was running my business. Now I'm dependent on a check from a company that I moved my whole existence to and depended on.
Yeah.
And like, at that time, I told you, like, I didn't really depend on much. It's not that I don't. Structure within me is what I can trust the most.
Sure.
And when I have to put trust in other people, especially for like a paycheck or something, man, I hit rock bottom. Like, what am I gonna do? I just left Pittsburgh. Didn't cut ties with everybody from Pittsburgh, but I didn't really tell everybody I was leaving.
You felt like you were gonna start over and kind of like the typical, like, I'm leaving the small town.
Yeah, and like my
rear view.
My parents didn't know, not that they needed to know because I was so independent, but it's like, every day after that, especially after your birthday, which like for me is existential enough, I had the darkest thoughts of killing myself, and like it was some depressing moments before that.
Sure.
That I've had like through youth and stuff, but like at that moment I was like, here it is, man. Like,
fuck it.
Yeah, it's like rock bottom. Like, for my whole identity to be so uprooted and creating something myself and it getting depleted, and I was like, oh, this is rock bottom, dude.
That's what it feels like.
And for me to get down to this vulnerable state of like applying to jobs and like, I didn't even put a fucking resume together. I did all this work.
Yeah, dude. You were like
I put on all these
shit.
events and all this like, I've had all these mainstay moments of like proof of concept and portfolio. Like, the word portfolio for me was like always like bittersweet because I was never putting something together. Like, I was always creating my moments. Yeah. I didn't need to prove somebody like, I can do that for you too. I was doing it for myself. It was really self-sufficient. Like,
Sure.
hit rock bottom, had to apply to jobs. The Richard DeChance Restaurant Group was a listing on Indeed.
No shit, dude. Okay, this
Yeah,
is so cool. It's so interesting.
So
bro. Okay, cool.
I was like, never even heard of them. Like, was working in the beverage space already, so I had a ton of examples to show them, like, my proof of work with like Beam Centauri and
Maker's Mark, all the
like
rest, yeah.
creative portraits. So
this is right after you got back from, like, did you immediately move back from Arizona?
No, I applied to Richard DeChance Restaurant Group on the couch of my Arizona apartment that I still had to live with the guys I got cut from the group from.
Damn, so you still had to live with them
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
What was that like? Like, I'm gonna give you an example. I had to cut ties with some people that worked here, and we worked together for that last week, and it was like, you could cut the tension with the fucking butter knife,
Yeah,
bro.
dude.
It was like super awkward.
Yeah, dude.
And hot, and like that, like I almost felt like that feeling in my stomach, like we were gonna fight at any time. Weird, bro.
Yeah.
Not a great place.
Not at all.
So that's why you were feeling.
But I
crazy.
had it in me so much, like, it was not constructive criticism at all. They fucked me, dude. I really was doing the right thing every day, had it in integrity, up to the ceiling, like, could stand tall, 10 toes down. Like, I did not do anything to these guys for this to happen. A lot of it was based off emotion. You didn't you didn't like the way you felt because I said you should be doing this or this. Like, so 10 toes down, like,
they couldn't take constructive criticism is the real thing.
And it's not like I was like, you're doing this slow or that. It was probably ways I was wording things. I'm not a fucking saint. I'm not going to say that. Yeah. But my integrity through it all was not like I fumbled the bag or did some fucked up shit.
Some real sneaky shit.
Yeah, it was never fucking that. It got to the point where I came back and didn't really have much to depend on. Like, Sano and I were close, but like, how close can you be somebody 2,100 miles away? Like, living all the way up. That's the West Coast.
Right, yeah.
I told him what's happening. He's like, I don't know, man. I was like, you fucking watch. So I got a strained relationship with some of my main homies now too, that were like, through that whole creative process of like, oh, I thought we were brothers in this community. And like, shout out to Sano, that's my brother, but he knows during that time, like, I was like, these guys fucked me up. He met these guys. He knew them because of all these events.
Did he kind of have some skepticism?
Yeah. So
he was kind of like, hey, bro.
Full circle comes around. It's like 2024. These guys messaged him to wish me happy birthday. Hope he's doing well. Like, tell him I'm sorry. On my fucking grandma's fucking life, these guys reach out to him to get to me to say happy birthday. Hope he's doing well. No hard feelings. I blocked these guys. Yeah, that's why we got a block button, man. Like, you can control your fucking ecosystem, your environment. Like, why would I still want to see guys that I have a distaste for?
Yeah.
In my life. So I blocked these guys. They have to reach out to him to get to me. It was, so and I was like, dude, why are you still following them? They did some dirt shit. He's like, I don't know the full story, bro. So that's strange. Right. It came together after that. I was like, I fucking told you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna be the one to be like, watch. It just happened, and I was like, you know how much pride it takes for somebody to do that though, to like, hey man, I'm sorry that happened. Even as a man, human is one thing, but as a man, we have so much pride that, like, for them to be like, tell them I'm sorry. I hope it didn't mean to happen that way. Like, yeah. I hit rock bottom. Started with DeChance, and it was like clockwork on me. I was like, back to the gym, like let's get these reps in. So they had so many different concepts, restaurant concepts. They're like, we're just gonna start you out light. We're doing each one of these. Like,
give a little background too, like, for people that don't know. Like, I know because I'm a huge foodie, but like, Richard DeChance is the premier restaurant group in this area. Like, they have how many restaurants?
It's gonna be like 12, 13 now.
Yeah, and like, for people that are from Pittsburgh or people from Pittsburgh, some of the best, most, and I'm saying this as a fan and as an admirer, some of my favorite restaurant experiences are Richard DeChance restaurant.
I think what the DeChance restaurant group does better than other people is what we were talking about before with like creative direction and everything omnisciently coming together as one focus point, whether it be the food and drinks, the nail quality rise is one thing. Just like food quality wise is one thing.
Sure.
For it to be modern and different and influenced by different cities, locations, trends is another thing. To blend that with great visuals is a whole other thing. So when we consistently check the box for each one of those, and that's what DeChance is, it's like a no-brainer for us to be separate than other people.
Sure.
He does a great job of making everything concise and it's digestible for Pittsburgh.
One thing I like about the Deschamps group and the restaurants, for example, what's the one in East Liberty, the Italian joint?
Fish North Fowl.
Yeah, Fish North Fowl. One of my favorite Italian spots. I don't love going to a restaurant and being like, this just looks like a Pinterest board just puked on the walls, and they're serving me all this really expensive tapas style shit, all different cultures, and none of it's really hitting the mark. So I like how they have like poulet bleu, that's their French take. They have fish noir fowl, that's their Italian take. Like it's very tailored, you know? And I think creatively, in my head, that would be helpful for the process of a creative director to know that they have their own voice. Right?
Yeah.
So like you're able to step in and be like, hey, this is like this is what their thing is. Let's, you know, did you
that's
feel like
that I hit that ceiling, hit that low point out in Arizona, and coming back, and I was like, wait, maybe I was meant to do this all along. Like, dude, when they said I got my acceptance letter, like I felt like.
Did you have to do like interviews, like rounds?
Yeah,
of interviews and shit
I told them straight up, like, I've never had an interview in my life. I've been running my business for so long. Like, if you want somebody that cares, that has hard work and the skill set and has passion, I'm your guy. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to oversell myself. I'm not a car salesman. I'd probably be doing that if, like, I was like, I think I literally said, I'm not going to oversell myself here. I have strong values that I care about. Integrity is big for me.
My work speaks for itself.
My work, and as a director role, like, my boss would give me tasks, but for the most part, I have the layout of my day of what needs done, and you have to trust that. But for all the different, like you were saying on the notion of like all the different concepts, is like what they were hiring for at the time was just social media manager.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, you pretty much just need a photographer to put these posts up, or videographer, like. But really, they didn't know that. But you needed somebody to really be able to speak the essence and the voice of the brand throughout different concepts. Like, he needs to be dynamic to understand this concept, that concept, this, that, and third, all the different 12 concepts through the medium of like visuals.
So you saw it, from my perspective as a creative person, that would be like kind of like a playground for me, because it's like, hey, these restaurant groups are already doing their own thing. They're like literally doing the best of the best food-wise, drink-wise. It's my job to come in and just make their branding as clean as the cuisine.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's exciting.
Yeah, there's a level that I had to hit with each one of them. I was like, I can do this. Yep. Now, what was hard at the beginning, the challenge was the volume of all the restaurants.
Yeah, because there's so many of them. Right?
Yeah, even though they're different, and that helps like the channels of each concept be distinctive, the volume of the work was a lot. Having to post for 12 different concepts a day, 10 different concepts a day. Do they all have
different accounts?
Yeah, each one of the restaurants.
Yeah, see, this is why it's so impressive. Like, I follow these, and these are like some of the best restaurants in Pittsburgh. So the fact that I'm a fanboy of Richard Deschamps Restaurant Group, but it isn't. That's overwhelming to me to think of. I have ongoing projects as a tattoo artist, but I'm only fixated on one at a time, one day at a time. Whereas doing, like, obviously you're gonna have certain launches and events with one restaurant, but how do you balance that? The daily shit, do you schedule that out on the back end? Do you have, down to your note section? Like, how do you balance 12 different brands?
The hospitality scene is nothing is structured really. Anybody in the hospitality scene would tell you that is like, it reminded me of the military once I started to understand the industry, hospitality industry, because it's a lot like the island of misfit toys, which we call the army, the military. Okay. So everybody's there is like, they're in between a job, or like students, or like they're veterans in the game. Of like, just like you have a veteran that's been on 12 different like missions, 3 different deployments, is like you have guys like, oh, I've started 3 different high-end restaurants, and you're like,
wow.
So the hospitality scene, there's no structure of it. It felt so natural to go in there and it not having a structure, even though I probably could, but at the same time, there's so many we call it spinning plates. Yep. I could have a spinning plate on each one of my fingers, on my foot, on my head, making it all fluid, but Now, all 12 weren't open at the same time. We've had closings and stuff, but the volume of, let's say, 8 to 9 accounts and posting for all of them 3 to 4 times a week. At that time, I was like, it's just reps. Let's make a system. I didn't know I was developing a system. Let's just get the reps in.
Yep.
The schedule shoots with chefs is hard because you can't shoot during service. They're stressed out. You have to come in before, and then if you're coming in before, the lights aren't low, like the ambience isn't the same as like when
and they're prepping hours, right? So like, do they prep at like 11 a.m. and open service
early,
at like 7?
Yeah, sometimes earlier than that. Yeah, and it's like
crazy.
Opening at 5 is like having to be flexible and strip everything I knew, but still have the technical sound. A part of it was so important. Yeah, it felt like not a start over, but like that chapter was like reformatting everything I knew, getting those reps in again, and like that was the biggest point of like transitioning. Now I knew as I was starting to do more like email campaigns, website edits, and I was like, just like I was learning through the music scene of like just the base of photography, videography, graphic design. Now in the marketing space, okay, now how are we making ad pop-ups on the website? How are we doing email campaigns? How are we tailoring those email campaigns? How are we rolling out a restaurant launch or like a New Year's Eve event or a tasting menu?
So
I had all these micro technical things I knew for campaigns that I would just translate it to restaurants.
So was that really when you started learning about like, obviously in marketing and branding, there is the creative side, and there's a lot of amazing creative people, and then there's a lot of people who neglect the back end. Hey, this is how you actually make an ad campaign in Facebook ads. Like, did you learn a lot of that before that with your events, or were you kind of always just creative until you hit that role with Deschamps, and then you were like, hey, I need to also learn like the actual technical side?
I had some of it through the events I was doing for myself, but I would say it got so much more deeper when operating with the restaurants. That's when it was like full scale. Like I'm my whole agency in myself now. I'm a one-person agency.
Literally, yeah.
And these skills that I was adopting just by myself, I started developing systems that I didn't know, or like routines in myself, like especially how to post for the restaurants, or like how to shoot, schedule posts out. All these routines I was building myself that I was not mindful of. Then I was like, guys, I'm doing so much. I come to my boss and like, hey, I'm doing so much. Can I get a raise? And like, margins are tough in the restaurant group. With restaurants in general, I understand that. But he's like, no. I was like, man, can I get a raise? He's like, he's not saying no directly, like you don't deserve it. He's like, this next concept we can, right? And I don't think he was dangling the carrot, but like, I also don't think he was understanding everything I was doing. So I was like, hey man, I gotta leave. He was like, would you ever just want to get hired out? So that's when I was running the agency for all the campaigns, like social satisfaction at the time. And then I was like, no, I'm just gonna do agency. I'm gonna do this work for other people. And now I hire people and explain my systems that I learned from the groups. Me doing it myself, and that's what scaled the agency now.
So this is good to understand, because I knew that you had social satisfaction, which is your agency, right? But I didn't know that it started with you basically starting a glorified agency as your role at Deschamps, and then it transitioned into like, hey, I want to expand this, work with other companies, not just limited to this one restaurant group, but you still do a lot of work. Social satisfaction still gets hired for a lot of the Deschamps content, right?
We're strictly their guys, but I didn't want to leave Deschamps, man, if I'm being honest. Like I didn't want to be contracted out. I just think my work and value was probably like, if you would charge an agency, would be way more.
So way more, yeah. You're like, bro, I gotta like see my worth in this. Let's see if you can kind of, just to get to this back side, see if you can kind of do, is that okay for you, bro?
Yeah, I kind of forgot that we had this tattoo going.
Yeah, it's not really, dude, I gotta say, props to him. He hasn't even fucking flinched, man. Now, we haven't got into the rough spot yet, but guys, this is an elbow, so DC's a tough guy. Tough guy. Cool, so basically you went off started what you now have as Social Satisfaction, and that is your branding agency, you would say?
I would just say creative agency.
Creative agency.
I don't like to put marketing out there because there's a lot of technical things that I don't desire myself to do, even if I have to do them.
Like you're not gonna, one thing I learned in college, I was a marketing major, and then I realized that marketing and advertising and branding are so different. Marketing is like the most boring fucking shit. Marketing's like, this is our target market. It's all like statistics and shit like that. Whereas branding, advertising is more of the creative side, would you say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you now have more flexibility to work with other brands, and are you basically doing like hospitality focused stuff? Do people come to you? Do you reach out? Like how do you?
When you first started out as a photographer or creative, you're like, I'm not niche. Don't put me in a fucking box.
Sure.
What helped flourish the agency so much with those personal systems I developed for myself from the volume I had from the chance, translating those and niching those for hospitality and restaurants. I gave that system to my other fellow videographers. Follow this SOP. You're flourished. You could work. So the system of the restaurants is like, you rarely have time for chefs, like I said. They have so much time, prep, inventory, invoices, the service itself, that I would only have one rich day and maybe like a 45-day calendar, like one content day. How are we stretching out all this content on for that 45-day span? You have one shoot day. It's not like you get to shoot like every couple of days or every 2 weeks. How do we shoot this one day and make it relevant throughout the 45-day calendar? So I adopted that to the agency, where I told my videographers, you get one good shoot day of 2-3 hours. If you're efficient, 4 hours max. Sit back in the post-production stage, edit it, schedule it. You're sitting on your fucking ass the rest of the fucking 20 days in the month. With those other 20 days, adopt more clients and become efficient in the same cycle I got.
So it becomes more manageable for you. Like
it became more manageable because the systems I didn't know I was creating for myself and translated, especially in the hospitality, like restaurant scene.
And so when you say you give that to your other videographers, do you mean people that are contracted through Social Satisfaction?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So you, right now, your umbrella of an organization, like you're at the helm, and then you subcontract out video, photo, because you can't only be in one place at one time, right?
Yeah, so that's when it comes back to the full circle, like creative director is like, as much as I'm the business owner and director of ops, as I'm director of finance for these people too, this is like the business owner, right?
Right.
People hire the agency for the work that I produce. Now, the translation of when you hire a videographer, he's like, well, I have my style. Not saying anybody in my agency is like that, but a lot of people have their ego attached to it. It's like, oh, I have this style, it should be shot this way. It's like, it's not what I'm looking for here, man. I kind of just need like a camera op, and if you do video, I'll handle photos so you can understand the art direction of like the moodiness of a style, or like the light composition. Right.
So you have to be working with people who are kind of leave that ego at the door as artists sometimes.
Especially as a creative director, because your job is to bring in that scope, that canvas, and tighten it down so the translation of what you're trying to get across is very direct.
I see. Okay.
But long story short, I mean, been training like my right-hand videographer, Elijah, over the years. He's been incredible. That's adapted, like a very like moldable and able to learn, I was like, man, there's money in this. And like, so right now, I mean, I have somebody that just does inbox management for the agency. I have a girl that handles accounts. I have two people that handle other accounts. Like, I have a designer in the UK. There's these different hands that are part of the agency that like make it a full ring circus, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Make the show go on.
That's super exciting. So that's a little bit, I think, of like of a good synopsis of what you're doing with the branding and the creative agency. I also know as your friend, you've gotten into like the culinary world. Like you've pursued a little bit of an interest in like actually cooking, and you throw down, bro. And you did your first like restaurant concept like pop-up.
It's crazy. I didn't mean to wear the shirt.
It's funny, yeah. I mean, it's a dope logo and everything. The branding's on point.
When you learn something and study something, if you're just studying what you need to know, you're gonna lack, and something's gonna come in front of you, and you're gonna be like, oh, I didn't learn that part of the script. How am I? Like, if you're an actor and you don't learn your partner's lines as well, how are you gonna help them out or
react to them in a certain way?
Yeah. So being with chefs, I'd be like, oh, what is this for? What is this ingredient? And we'd like, yeah, it adds some heat, depth, or richness, or some brininess. So it would be like, oh, that fucking makes sense. It's kind of like what I do. He's doing it for a plate, garnishing a plate, or painting a canvas his way. When I was like, oh, I have to do the same thing because the context.
Sure.
So I would learn all this context and be enriched into it. And I'd be like,
were you
this is
interested
fucking
in cooking
science.
Before that?
Weirdly enough, my mom says like I would be next to her on a stove, and growing up in a rural area, like, shout out to mom, great cook, but it's like, you don't got, she's not cooking like pad thai at
it's
home,
stew,
man.
bro.
Yeah,
It's beef stew.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's exciting to learn new things. I love learning different skill sets. As much as this sounds like a podcast about like enriching career and learning skills, it's like, it really was fluid for me just because I was a curious fucking rat, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, what hole can I get myself in and learn? All my fellow chefs like know that like I ask questions to the point where it might get annoying because it's like second nature to them.
Yeah. Well, because you didn't have that like formal culinary training.
No, not at all. And I was just so passionate about it where I got the reps in at home, just trying to put on that same standard for my girlfriend, my friends when I have them over hosting family. It got to the point where, just like an event, I knew how to roll out an event. I knew how to curate the cocktails or curate the mood. And like, now it's like, now I can curate what they're actually intaking and enjoying and digesting, not just metaphorically, like on the outside, visually, but like
actually
physically too. Yeah.
So Blood and Bones, that was your first concept. What was that like, man? What was it like actually going from just maybe cooking for your girl, your family, to like having a set list of guests and like real service, and like that's a huge learning curve, bro. That's like that'd be like me being like, I don't even know, like that's crazy, bro. Like,
yeah.
Was it intimidating? Was it fulfilling?
It was definitely intimidating. I was really stressed. I knew at that time, when I'm stressed, I wear it really well too. And as a chef, you can't wear it well because you have guests looking at you. Yeah. I will say, a fellow friend of mine, chef Mike G from EYB, was a huge part of that dinner, having it in his space, working with him. So we were doing social media work with him beforehand, and I was like, I'd love to do pop-ups with you, man.
So you had him to lean on to actually help
greatly,
with
deeply. Yeah.
Was he there for the service and everything?
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I told him like, I always think like, as much as I am creative, I have the structure behind everything to like help it work like a well-oiled machine. So doing a dinner, I was like, I know each dish can't have like more than 4 steps to it. You know what I'm saying? Like with a risotto, like not just the risotto, but the herb oil, the protein, like
just from a feasibility standpoint.
Feasibility and structure of doing a tasting menu. You eat, just like a cocktail, if you have a high volume bar, you need like 3 touch points and you're done. Like you have to get rid of it.
And I look at that like with tattooing. For me, if I have one session to get a project done and somebody is like, hey, I really want to do my forearm and I want to do my shoulder and I also want to get my elbow, I'm like, all right, let's think about one step at a time. Yeah. So that's really interesting.
I had studied menus all up until then. Tasting menus are tough. Like dinners is like, the flow is really important. Like your first course has to wow guests, but it also has to make sense digestibly, like physically, to cleanse the palate, to be light freshening. If you start with something heavy, the rest of your dishes aren't going to be palatable and enjoyable throughout it.
Okay. That makes sense. Dude, I gotta say, it's really interesting to me.
There's a science to the tasting menus, man. It's like, especially I did such a long menu that I knew, like in the middle, like let's have a lighter break. Let's have a salad course here to break it up.
Let me ask you, so in the world of tattooing, there are people who went through a tattoo apprenticeship, right? And then there's like people who like they're self-taught. And I think that personally, my personal belief is I look at the end result, however you got there, honestly doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't change the validity of that person's status as a great artist. Is it the same way, like, would you consider yourself a chef now, right? Like,
no.
Okay.
No,
I didn't
and
know
that's a respect thing that I have to other chefs is like, maybe eventually, but I think there's an internal like moral code. It gets hot behind that line, man. And like, I don't have enough nights of working a line where it gets 130 degrees behind that line cooking, man.
Damn.
The burners are on, that hood's rolling. I would never entitle myself a chef. That's something you get distinguished by somebody else in your career.
It's really interesting because, yeah, I mean, I guess it is too complete. It's apples to oranges, but like with tattooing, there are some people that they kind of look at that the same way. Like your apprenticeship sort of, who taught you how to tattoo kind of adds to.
Now there's a lot of validity and credibility I might have, but to get a title like that it's
just different.
Yeah.
So you think maybe eventually?
I don't know, man. I feel like I found such a strong suit in this, being able to curate things well, and the technical of executing them, definitely. But if the goal is to own a concept one day, I don't think I would be the chef of that space. I would help curate next to somebody that I trust really well in that space. Just like my videographers is like, I'm not going to be the videographer of this project. I'm going to work next to you so we know how it translates well.
No, that makes good sense. All right, so we're going to do a little bit. We started outlining, got the whole outline done. This is also a massive tattoo for the record, so. I
didn't realize it could be so big.
Yeah, because like when you take an elbow and you put it on a 2D surface, it's like almost the size of like, it's like half of an 8x11 sheet of paper. It's a big fucking tattoo. But anyway, so I want to talk a little bit, closing things out, about like this year versus next year. Personally, I would say some of my biggest takeaways from this year. I'm really trying to navigate the balance between being a total workaholic and having any emotional availability at home after, because like I put everything into this, and I'm also talking a lot to my clients, so it's very draining. So something I've tried to think about going into 2026 is finding a little bit more balance in my schedule, setting aside more time to dedicate to like a personal day, you know? And I think I'm gonna try to make that evolution next year in my schedule. That's one thing I've kind of focused on this year. What are some things that you took away from this year, rounding out the year, or some things that you're really excited about going into 2026? Give me some
I think
ideas.
A lot of what you talked about holds true. What's going on with me is like I had such a grinding point from that low point of reaching, another steady pace with a career, flourishing, grind, flourish, thrive. That was all about work, and now really recently getting in a relationship. It showed me that you need the work-life balance. Like Laura has been such a major part of the success of the agency, just keeping me as the leader of the agency level-headed and just balanced. So I think 2026 is going to be still adding more structure to the agency, bringing more people on, more clients, thriving through different projects, but a lot more balance for like personal. I don't think throughout all those years that we were talking about my career and life, there was points where I had periods of time where I was just focusing on me. All of it was like success, money, success, projects, income, it's at first it was scary for me to be like step away a little bit, because I thought I always had to step away and focus on myself and then come back to something. But I think it's more like that balance. Like, how would I ever do what I'm doing when I'm a dad, if I'm so wrapped up in my, and that's where my perspective is now, especially having a relationship that's so deeply rooted in wanting to start a family and provide and create little leaders of themselves, create little me's that take away the good things and can like lead in society well.
Dude, that's a huge.
If I'm not giving them the bright moments of me, they're going to get the dark moments, and there's going to be little shitheads. Nobody wants a little shithead.
Nobody wants a little shithead.
I just want to kick them in Target. Like, I want somebody to be like, dude, that was a sick joke. Like,
Yeah.
That's a sick toy, bro. Like, get that one.
Sick toy. I love that one.
Not these 6, 7 kids,
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that's a good piece, man. What are some things that you are looking forward to creatively? Do you have any big projects on the horizon? Anything that you're able to talk about before it's popping off?
Now that I got the first taste of Blood and Bones, I think the next chapter of Colors is coming. So that would be the 4th gallery of Colors under the Colors umbrella, the universe of whatever I'm developing Colors.
Colors instead of Marvel, the Colors universe.
Yeah, and I've had thoughts of doing that before. Blood and Bones was the thing. It was going to be color palette. So a play on words of palette, like a brushstroke palette, but also a palette, like palatable.
Yeah.
That was going to be what Blood and Bones was. Not like from a tasting or art direction side, but like I thought at the time, like, I want to do a dinner that's designated to everything I know with the color sequences, design, tasting, art direction. I think that's under the cards. And now that I originally had plans to do that in 2025, 2026, pouring my heart and soul of it in like a year project. What does it look like if I take you through the journey of like planning everything? That's one thing over the years I never really got to show people is the technical side. Like, what gives me the credibility to like say this? Because I know how to do this, and breaking down the behind the scenes of it.
So would
just
you
like
say
with your tattooing,
almost like an inside look, like a day in the life vlog type?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I was doing a lot of personal vlogs that I never got to put out.
Yeah.
And I was like, coming soon. But like, how it is with life, man. It's like you can't do the editing as well. So it's like now that I have the team, maybe hiring some editors to help with the personal vlogs. But I think the behind the scenes inside look of how I know things and what I know and like how I do it.
People love seeing that shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like even like I'm always surprised and I take it for granted how I'm such a nerd for tattooing that I just kind of automatically assume that all my clients have this like acumen of tattoo, which is obviously not reasonable, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can just go off on a whole tangent and they're like, no way, that's how that is. And I'm like, you didn't realize? You know what I mean? So that is cool. I think people like peeling that back because they see like the end product that's so buttoned up and so neat.
Yeah.
But they don't really see the tiny failures throughout.
Yeah.
That
And taking a look back of like my brand throughout the years, I was always so used to pushing out the polished pieces. So pushing out the behind the scenes seemed a little inauthentic because I was so used to pushing out the polished, perfected things over the years. So showing more of me behind the scenes makes me feel indifferent because I'm not like an extrovert in that way.
Sure.
It'd be like, look at me, I'm doing this. This is how you do this. But like, for years I've struggled with how do I push out what I know in a digestible way that it feels authentic rather than forced onto people.
Sure.
That's going to be the challenge of 2026. That's been continuing to be a challenge, but that's the one I'm setting for myself is consistently push out content of the brand of DC and the agency and showing people the inside look.
Cool. Hell yeah, man. Well, I think we had a great conversation today, bro.
Yeah,
and I know that this tattoo is going to take
it's
a little
huge,
bit more
man.
time, bro. So we're gonna check back at the end. You'll see the finished piece. But I appreciate you, bro. It's been
Appreciate
really
you,
great.
dog. Great conversation.
Getting
man.
some insight into your journey and stuff, and knowing you and tattooing you for a while now, we got to talk about a lot of stuff that I didn't even know.
Yeah, I'm thankful for it, man.
Cool,
it was like therapeutic in a way. I look at tattoos as therapy because it's like moments where I can disconnect from my phone and more present with the pain, you know,
Yeah,
like
brother.
it's weirdly therapy for me, but like talking through my story, I think was therapeutic too, just to like kind of lay it out in my head. And especially as you move past it, like you live through it and you're like, and then you look back and like, oh, that was in the weeds there. I didn't even realize.
That's it.
So thankful, man.
Good stuff, man.